fact, in case of Kasab, the stress was keep it secret. In case of Yakub, how to manage that media which, Barkha, you belongs to this community, but which had gone berserk. In fact, I had to come and stay in the prison, Nagpur prison, because they would follow me everywhere. In case of organized crime, especially in case of Daud, Chota Rajan, Arun Gavli, it's very difficult to get a complainant. People keep quiet and they pay up. And that's how these criminal gangs had become so big and people were so scared of them. See, crime branch and all intelligence agencies, let's not underestimate and let's not be your breed. I mean, like, media criticizes us so much. But they have instruments to understand where the planning of terrorists or the underworld is going on. And in one of the technical surveillance, we caught her, and I have mentioned it in the book, saying that hold special namaz ki Meera Borwankar ki transfer ho.
Acha.
Yeah, so.
And why did she want special namaz to have you transferred?
जैसे हम कहते हैं कि special puja.
So she was scared of you?
I would think so. Once we caught Chota Rajan asking his wife whether she is taking interest in the education of his 3 daughters, whether they go to the tuition, and he's asking her again and again. And then in the end he says, "He bag nani, tighe mulina, all the 3 girls have to be in IPS. IPS मध्ये जायचे."
As a senior police officer, you have not just witnessed but supervised 2 of the most high profile, if I can use that phrase, hangings of our contemporary times. Let me start with Ajmal Kasab, whom we all remember from the 26/11 attacks. It was a top secret execution, and your book, Madam Commissioner, extensively talks about that. I want you to retrace the anxieties, the challenges, and also what went through your mind at the time.
So actually I was not mentally prepared that I'll ever see an execution. So it came as a surprise to me. The file had been moving within the prison department, home department, but somehow it didn't strike me that I'll have to be personally present. Government, of course, gave an order because it was a secret mission, and the then Home Minister of Maharashtra visited Pune twice. He was very keen that this information should not leak. And I thought, how does he imagine that? Because the file goes on the various desks of the Home Department, then prison is involved, police is involved, judiciary is involved. And how does he expect that it won't leak? But we tried hard, and it was decided that the file will be taken by hand. It will not go in routine. And minimum number of people would be made aware. In fact, when I sent our DIG to meet the collector of Pune and seek presence of a magistrate, the officer reported to me that the collector got up from his seat. Are Asa hai ka? He asked. So, and that was just 2 days before. One, I worked on myself. I had to talk to myself. I have talked about in the book that many a times during stressful situations, I took to talking to myself. We took to talking to the team which was handpicked for this execution. Made them understand the gravity. And I have also quoted an episode where I went for a police event an evening prior to the execution, just to understand whether media or any police officer has any inkling. And I felt satisfied when nobody asked any question about
How did you keep it so secret? Because aaj ke din mein kya rehta hai secret?
I think it was a very highly motivated team which felt that we are doing something for the country.
Yeah.
We are making a person and a particular terrorist organization pay for the lives of innocent people that we lost. I think basically this one factor united everyone that we will not talk about it.
And you said that by the time Kasab goes to the gallows, he's quite different from the images that India and the world had seen. I think the phrase you use in your book is he looked like a child terrorist. That was a very, very dramatic line in a way. When you remember that moment and you saw it happening, do you remember what you were feeling?
Actually, I was totally numb. And over a period of time, whenever I would meet him, he had already lost both his weight and that ferocity which you saw on the TV when he went around
Where he had his automatic guns and was attacking many sort of hotels and hospitals even. Yes.
So at the time of the execution, I have mentioned in the book, there was a stunned silence. And I don't think I was alone in feeling numb and not knowing how to react.
Did he say anything in his last moments?
No, actually, I won't like to talk about that. And both for the Yakub and for Kasab hanging, there are certain things which we cannot discuss, which we would.
Fair enough. But let's move actually, since you mentioned Yakub, to Yakub Memon. A much more contentious sort of execution. When it came to Ajmal Kasab, I think India was very proud that A, justice had been served, but B, it had been served after due process. Kasab was given his due process and the right to go all the way to the Supreme Court. For Yakub Memon, the Supreme Court had a midnight hearing to evaluate whether he should be executed. Did that debate in the public domain confuse you ever as the police officer who had to oversee his hanging?
I won't use the word confuse, but I was one thing very clear. Life once taken cannot come back. So I would follow this procedure to the hilt. In fact, when at the last minute, the same night, my DIG walked in and he had certain doubts. And I felt I cannot clarify them. I sought the issue to be clarified by Mumbai, which may not have pleased the Home Department in Mumbai. But I thought, let's see that nobody can say that you did not follow the due procedure, the rule of law.
And so you asked for clarifications even till the very end with Yakub Memon.
Absolutely.
What were the clarifications you were seeking?
It was about the time you have to give after receiving reply to a mercy petition. And I was very clear that nobody should say that we failed in following the due procedure. In fact, in case of Kasab, the stress was keep it secret. In case of Yakub, how to manage that media which, Barkha, you belongs to this community, but which had gone berserk. In fact, I had to come and stay in the prison, Nagpur prison, because they would follow me everywhere. So that was another kind of pressure. And I'm also happy, though many people criticize Supreme Court opening and listening to that curative petition. At least nobody can say that any injustice was done to Yakub or to Kasab.
You had conversations with Yakub Memon. You spoke about whether he's prepared his will. He knew he was going to the gallows, didn't he?
Not till the actual black warrant received. Till then, he used to be very confident that he will find some respite. Last 2 days are the only days when I think he gave up.
Your book reveals that his wife approached you, the police officer who had overseen, witnessed, organized effectively his execution, for help in getting their daughter a passport. Can you share that story? Like, did you not find it surprising that she approached you? One would think she would hold something against you.
So she approached an officer who approached me, and I was stunned that she was ready to meet me. It took me some time,
Did you feel uncomfortable about meeting her?
Yeah, I mean, uncomfortable is a very mild word. Initially, I was so hesitant. And mind you, she sent me a message saying she's looking forward to reading my book.
Really? So how do you explain that contradiction? Because in your book you write you see no contradiction between being the officer who did her task, which was to see the Yakub Memon execution till the end, but also help his daughter get a passport.
I would say this is basically because of the police training, which tells us that X is a criminal and he or she can be held liable. Y, Z may belong to his family. If they are not involved either in the conspiracy or in the act of crime, they are innocent and we should help. If I'm not sounding too philosophical, I think Gandhi's philosophy also, that hate the crime, not the criminal. And here his wife had not done anything wrong. And the child was totally innocent. It's a girl child.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I sought her passport, I was legally on very strong ground. And that's what I told the government. In case you don't give her, she can get it from the court. And you will cut a sorry figure.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy and I felt so relieved that she was given her passport.
Talking about family members of gangsters and criminals, you had a fight with sections of the media when they suggested that you were going soft on Dawood Ibrahim's sister Hasina. Can you share that story?
So actually, in case of organized crime, especially in case of Dawood, Chota Rajan, Arun Gawli, it's very difficult to get a complainant. People keep quiet and they pay up. And that's how these criminal gangs had become so big and people were so scared of them. In this case, in case of Hasina Bano, we felt so fortunate that we have a complainant. And we filed a case, we were pursuing how and when to arrest. When in Times of India, it came on the front page that I had said that go slow on Hasina Parker. I felt so let down and I felt so disturbed that against the wishes of all my seniors, juniors, well-wishers, I thought these reporters owe me an apology. And that apology also should come on the front page because the news that I had said go slow on Hasina Parker appeared on the front page of the TOI and Mumbai Mirror the same day. I must thank our advocate, he's a senior counsel, Mr. Raja Thakre. He said he will come with me and we went to the court. It took me 3+ years, but ultimately, because there is no substance in this news.
But what made you persistent or persist with it? 3 साल, people must have told you छोड़ दो, किसी को याद भी नहीं वो कहानी.
Bilkul, not only people, even Mr. R.R. Patil, who was the Home Minister, he said, I have clarified that you are very clean and that you are pursuing her arrest. Why are you? And they also scared me. It's a big media house and all. I don't know. I have a very strong feeling against injustice. And here I felt injustice was being done to me, one. Secondly, I also feel somewhere, and I have mentioned in the book, that it's not media alone. Many in the police department, crime branch, didn't like our transparent policies. I am proud to say our honest policies and our policies against encounter specialists who had also gone berserk.
Right.
So I felt I am fighting a battle and I felt I will get justice. And
what actually happened in this case with Hasina? Like you were accused wrongly of going soft, but what happened? She went missing. She went on the run.
Yeah, she went on the run and she appeared in the court along with 4-5 other women, all in burqa, and they surrendered.
Right.
So we didn't till the last know which of the burqa lady is Hasina.
was Dawood's sister.
Yeah.
And did you ever then converse with her?
No, but we did intercept one of her calls. See, crime branch and all intelligence agencies, let's not underestimate and let's not be your breed. I mean, like media criticizes us so much. But they have instruments to understand where the planning of terrorists or the underworld is going on. And in one of the technical surveillance, we caught her, and I have mentioned it in the book, saying that hold special namaz कि मीरा बोरवनकर की ट्रांसफर हो.
अच्छा.
Yeah, so
And why did she want special namaz to have
जैसे
you
हम
transferred?
कहते हैं कि स्पेशल पूजा
So she
करवाओ.
was scared of you.
I would think so.
And after you heard that intercept, what did you feel when you heard that?
No, we in that chair hear so many such conversations.
Yes.
Can I share something which I have not shared in the
Please,
book?
please.
But it makes me feel proud also. Once we caught Chota Rajan asking his wife whether she is taking interest in the education of his 3 daughters, whether they go to the tuition, and he's asking her again and again. And then in the end he says, "He bag nani, तिघे मुलींना, all the 3 girls have to be in IPS मध्ये जायचे. So he wanted all the 3 girls to join IPS. That shows even criminals have ambition.
How interesting.
Yeah.
But talking about Chota Rajan and the underworld, one of the very fascinating stories one gets from your memoirs is how you were investigating a particular case that related to a gangster. And quite by accident, you stumbled upon the fact that there was a connection to a very senior former IB director. It seemed at first to be some sort of set of errors, but then there was also a suggestion that was the former IB director actually working on a plot to eliminate Chota Rajan and his accomplices. So I don't want to give away the story. I want you to tell us the story.
So the detailed story is of course there in the book, but it's not to eliminate Chota Rajan. What we have read later on and we have come to know, I have not got it substantiated. It was an attempt to use Chota Rajan for against Dawood Ibrahim. But his 2 henchmen were giving extortion calls. And I've explained in the book how I flew my team to Delhi and they accidentally...
So tell the story from the beginning. Assume the audience knows nothing.
Then how would they read the book?
थोड़ा सा तो बताइए ना.
Okay.
So you were investigating a gangster and you were tracking his phone calls. Now, how did this link to, because I want you to tell us who the IB director or the former IB director was in the end of this story. How did it end up linking to a former IB chief who actually called and made a complaint to the police, and that's how the whole story came out?
So when the team flew from Mumbai to Delhi, and they had put surveillance on 2 boys, Vicky Malhotra, and that time they were only after him. We were also after Farid Tanasha. But Vicky Malhotra was in an upscale hotel restaurant in Connaught Place in Delhi. And the team is waiting, watching, and they know he's talking to some other person, but they didn't know who he was. And the team was in touch with me in Mumbai because our DCP had missed his flight. And when this duo got up from the restaurant, they are on their way out and they are in the car. This team led by a very dynamic officer, he was one of our best, Inspector Patil. He overtakes them and he wants to arrest Vicky Malhotra when the other person introduced himself as the former director of IB. Now, naturally, Inspector Patil is absolutely flabbergasted. DCP is not there. DCP has taken the next flight, not reachable on mobile. So Patil rings me up and says this person says that he is former IB chief. Now, I mean, this is so bizarre that I didn't believe it either.
Yeah.
So I asked that person, okay, tell me your batchmates if you are ex-director IB. Who are your batchmates in Maharashtra? And he tells them all. I mean, like, it's correct. Now, I am wondering what to do.
And he's also asking you, कि आप कौन हो?
Yeah. And he's also insisting that we leave Vicky Malhotra. And he tells me that you're telling a lie that you are a joint commissioner crime. You're not joint commissioner crime. And when I say I will not leave Vicky Malhotra, he tells me, I'll teach you a lesson. And I tell him, I will teach you a lesson. So we have an altercation. And Patil is quite tall, 6 feet plus, and there are 3-4 other officers. So I don't know what happened in the mind of former director IB. He rings up PCR New Delhi and asks for help.
Yeah.
While sending the help, this information leaks and it's sitting in Mumbai. I'm watching TV in my office chamber where it comes former director, IB, Scotted and all. So this comes, and now you know who is the former director.
And you are, of course, referring to the present National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval.
Yeah.
What a story. And later, a former Home Secretary gives an interview suggesting that there was a plan, as you said, to use or convert Chota Rajan and use him against Dawood Ibrahim. Do you think that's what was happening? I mean, do you understand the story more today?
So, yeah, after it was explained, I understood. But at that time, our emphasis was first to pick up Vicky Malhotra, who had gone berserk giving extortion calls, and then Farid Tanasha, who was in a different place. And also to expect me not to arrest them when I have flown the team all the way from Mumbai, and when they have these two guys in their hand, over here it is Vicky and then later on Farid Tanasha. I felt, how can I ever tell my officers that these two criminals, these two gangsters, very strong henchmen of Chota Rajan, having reached them, leave them. And that also at the behest of an officer who was claiming that he's former director IB. But now knowing the profile of Mr. Ajit Doval, I can understand he's an extra dynamic officer, though we had a very bad confrontation.
But you had a confrontation with neither of you knowing about the other's missions, as it were. And clearly, as we now know, the attempt was to try and target Dawood Ibrahim. Looking back, what happened to that case? What happened to Vicky Malhotra?
Oh, Vicky Malhotra got convicted.
I see.
And Farid Tanasha was bumped off, killed, murdered in broad daylight in his own house.
But the Mumbai police, as you write in your book, was accused of botching up an operation that was meant to be about targeting Dawood and taking him out. Do you regret that? Do you feel you could have handled it differently? Or do you feel like you simply didn't know?
No, I think we handled it very professionally. You just cannot do it. Had I dropped Vicky and Farid and asked my officers to come back, there would have been an inquiry and there would have been lots of aspersions on why it was done. So I don't think, and nor do I ever regret, that was the only way forward, and to expect that a joint commissioner will allow her team to come back empty-handed when they have reached the criminals.
Yeah. Did you and Mr. Doval ever cross paths after that?
No, he refuses to meet me, by the way.
He still holds that against you?
I think so.
Did you try and meet him after that?
Yeah, when I came here in Delhi as DG Bureau of Police Research and Development, I had sought appointment with all the senior DGs, senior police officers. He was one of them and he did not agree.
So you think he holds it against you till this day?
I think, Barkha, you better call him in your show.
No, but it's you know what, as stories go, it's a great story. Because you see this in the movies, but it actually happens in real life. And I think your chapter in the book ends by saying truth is much more dramatic and sometimes stranger than fiction. Now, let's talk about some of the difficult things that don't often come out into the open. Corruption. And political pressure. And I'll start with corruption. You do talk about encountering a fellow officer, a colleague, who you thought was, who you witnessed, not thought, who you caught, as it were, in the act of corruption. How deep-seated is corruption in the police force?
Oh, very deep-seated. But then, if you talk about it, police officers say, why are you singling out your own department? Corruption has gone very deep in all sectors, all departments of government. And I was very shaken when I was SP in Aurangabad. And mind you, this is the first time Maharashtra government had given independent district to a woman officer. And my own DIG asked for money in front of me, sitting in my chamber.
And who was he asking?
He was asking from an inspector. He was API at that time. And it also came out because that officer, the junior officer, got very agitated and he used these words. I have mentioned it in the book, that he said in Marathi, I have sold my wife's Mangal Sutra and yet you are not satisfied. That's when I realized, oh my God, what's going on? And I must say, in the early 90s, late 80s, at least IPS was honest. And when I reported it to the Director General of Police, first even he was taken aback. He rang me up and he said, oh, ऐसा तो होएगा, वो शायद joke कर रहा था. मैंने कहा नहीं सर, बिल्कुल joke नहीं कर रहे थे. So a senior officer was sent to inquire, and mind you, what was most painful was that after holding that whole episode to be true and correct, that senior officer told me that inspector had told him, sir, आप IPS में हो, मेरे से पैसा मांगने वाले DIG IPS हैं, मैडम IPS हैं, आप तीनों IPS मिलके मेरा बलि का बकरा बनाओगे क्या? This kind of, feeling that if leadership becomes corrupt, then,
So what happened to the DIG whom you watched asking for a bribe openly?
So an anti-corruption bureau inquiry was ordered. I think he got away somewhat because his own batchmate was inquiring into it. And mind you, citizens don't take interest, but anti-corruption bureaus have to be strengthened, both technically and from the point of view of resources, manpower, etc. But that DIG never got good postings. His career graph went down, but I don't think any punishment per se I'm not aware of.
Now, the other kind of challenge for a police officer is political pressure. And there are two stories that really leap out in your memoirs. One is when you take on Neelam Gore and you name another associate of Uddhav Thackeray. That time the Shiv Sena was not split like it is today. And what happened? Can you talk about that confrontation?
Yeah. So as we discussed, we have technical surveillance. In this particular case of Neelam Gore and Milind Narvekar, they had given a call for Pune Bandh. I was the Commissioner of Police Pune, and our special branch was monitoring their activities. And they intercepted a call where Narvekar mainly, but also Neelam Gore, listening to him, and they are planning violence, stone throwing, and throwing and burning of buses. And the special branch is able to intercept the call. Now, because of their planning and their having identified particular areas where they wanted violence, they were encouraging that, we could send manpower in time and we could avoid a major disaster. But on the basis of this particular interception, I wanted a case to be registered, a criminal case against Milind Narvekar and Neelam Gore. First resistance was from the police station. And my additional CP, a very dynamic officer, straight, he told me, Madam, we want to see you Commissioner of Police Mumbai. Don't register this case.
Basically, if you register it, you won't get promoted.
Yeah. And the junior staff, now some of them have very strong political roots. I don't know for what cause, but the police station was also not registering a case. You have intercepted, intercepted. It's not an illegal interception. Authorized interception as per the law.
Yeah.
And yet you're not registering the case. I had to send the Joint Commissioner to the police station, and I had to transfer the case after its registration to my own staff officer.
I think you're right. It was the first time you felt that your own officers or your own juniors would not listen to you.
That's the only time in my career. So you can imagine how strong is the political pressure at the field level officers.
Yes.
And how difficult it is for them to take action against politicians. So that's the main issue why India is suffering, why the country is suffering.
What happened eventually?
So we appointed a special prosecutor, Nadgoda, the investigating officer. Very diligently he investigated the case. But later on when Shiv Sena came into power, they first got the special prosecutor removed. But the first magistrate who heard this case, and the government through the prosecutor reported that they wanted to withdraw the case, the first magistrate did not agree. But I don't know whether the magistrate was removed or whether they waited for his transfer. The next magistrate, ironically mentioning that it's in the interest of the peace of the community, the case was later on taken back. And what peace of the community?
So the case was withdrawn.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
I felt terrible. And I must give credit to media. It was very widely reported that this case has been withdrawn. But our citizens must know why in India we have so many burning of vehicles, buses and violence. Because very quietly, these cases are later on withdrawn.
Yeah, that's a very important story, because otherwise the blame is put on the police and the legal system, but we don't actually look at the political patronage to many of these acts. Now,
And Barkha, how many of us are aware that government can withdraw the cases?
Yeah.
And they do so.
Yeah. There's also a confrontation that you have with a minister in Maharashtra, a minister who you do not name.
No, I have said Dada, and everyone knows in Maharashtra.
Then you may as well name the Dada.
Because we were alone in the chamber, and he can always deny that. But I've also mentioned that he's the district minister.
Of
and
Pune.
He continues to be the district
minister of Pune.
Yeah.
So your reference is to Ajit Pawar.
Yes.
What happened?
So there was a particular piece of land where our Yeroda police station is. Now, earlier, Yeroda police station was, say, the border of the city, but now it's very central. And before I became the Commissioner of Police, Pune, my predecessor, he had agreed to that land of about 2 acres being auctioned. Mind you, in Pune, if we want more land for police, either for our offices or for our housing quarters, we will not get. So this was a golden piece of land available to us to construct our own offices and our own residential quarters for the staff. But surprisingly, the divisional commissioner of Pune held an auction saying that proper procedure has been followed and this is the highest bidder, and we hand over this piece of land. Now my predecessor gets changed. I come in his place and the minister calls me and tells me that auction process has been followed, which, mind you, to my mind was a cartel. But he says you hand over the piece of land. And I refuse that because one, I have just taken over. So my question is, if the earlier Commissioner of Police Pune was party to this auction, why didn't he hand over the land? Secondly, we need this land so badly. My department needs it. Why should I hand it over, and that also to a person who is involved in 2G scam? So I don't do that. And
this 2G scam accuses Shahid Balwa.
Yeah, Shahid Balwa. And then everybody is very, they are advising me, don't oppose, don't oppose. Even the then Home Minister, Mr. R.R. Patil, calls me and he says, "Nahi madam, tumhe echat padu naka." Home Secretary tells me you don't get into it. Why? I am very clear in my thinking. We need this land. Police needs this land. Why should I lend it? Why should I allow anyone else to get it? And then I have detailed it in my book. Then a meeting is held, and then ultimately, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think we've been able to save that land, and we will definitely use it for Pune Police.
And did you ever encounter him again, Mr. Ajit Pawar, as an officer?
Yeah, so many times. He was the district minister and I was the Pune
So how
Police
was the
Commissioner.
dynamic after that one big fight?
So when I asked him, no, he went to TV channels, Marathi TV channels, and once when there was violence in Bibewadi area of Pune, he said, "ह्या कमिशनरचा काहीतरी करावा लागेल. We'll have to do something about this commissioner."
Yeah.
I knew actually he's so unhappy with me. So I took his appointment and I said, "Sir, why have you said that? What do you want to do?" He said, "मी काय बोललोच नाही. I never said that."
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, I had rung up the commissioner, the chief minister and the DG police that either I proceed on leave or you please shift me. And both had refused. They had said the minister is not the home minister. He cannot ask for your change. So you see, it's not all black or white.
Yeah.
So we have areas of grays, but citizens they should be aware of the fact that political cases involving serious violence can also get withdrawn. They do get withdrawn. Similarly, government land is being auctioned and handed over to private parties. at a very high cut rate by the politicians.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how Mr. Ajit Pawar might respond now that this story is out in the public.
He may deny it.
He may deny
I hope he doesn't sue me though.
Well, you have fought in court quite often, sometimes for very bizarre reasons, like you had a stalker.
Yeah.
What was that story?
That's also given in the book, Barkha. So, a woman of say about 40 or late 30s, she it seems had once come to meet me when I was Joint Commissioner in the crime branch. And my office was on the first floor. After that, when she would frequently come to visit me, the staff wouldn't allow her on the first floor. When I got transferred to Pune, she started coming there. She even once went to my house, had tea with my mom, introducing herself as my friend. But the kind of messages, loving messages and poetry she would write about me. So it was not only very uncomfortable, very embarrassing, but she would bring up me, my family, my friends. And it became so difficult that I one day decided that I will involve local police station, who picked her up, produced her before the magistrate. Magistrate referred her to the hospital, and the hospital felt she is not in the proper frame of mind. They sent her to the mental health institute. Running away from there, she filed a case against me. And very distressing that Bombay High Court took an opinion that I had exceeded my authority.
By doing what?
By sending her to the, say, magistrate. And actually, it's the magistrate who sent her to the hospital.
Right.
And to the...
Right.
So ultimately, I challenged that order of Bombay High Court. But in the meanwhile, all this made very embarrassing front page news for me in Mumbai and Pune. Fortunately, when I must thank Mr. U. Lalit, who
became Chief Justice, and who's your lawyer in this case.
Yeah, and Harish Salve. They both took up my case pro bono because they went through those letters, love letters she used to write, those messages.
Crazy story.
Yeah, and then the Supreme Court felt that actually it was the Bombay High Court which had made remarks which were not called for, uncalled for, and all those remarks against me were withdrawn. But it was a very stressful time for me and my family.
I can imagine. Now, towards the end, one little nugget that we haven't spoken about that I found in your book is when Sanjay Dutt is a prisoner, and you, after a couple of conversations with him, decide that he and others in the prison can actually perform some sort of fundraiser event, but you eventually cancel the event. They're going to come out of prison temporarily to do this performance. Raju Hirani also has a role in this. Tell us that story.
So, see, Sanjay Dutt was behaving properly.
He was in prison.
Yeah, he was in Yeroda prison.
On serious anti-terror, he was under Chadha at that time. Am I right?
No, Chadha was not acceptable by the Supreme Court.
Right,
he was under the Indian Penal Code.
Sorry, okay, all right. Okay, then.
So he was in Yeroda prison, and I think his advisors were good. They must have told him that you behave, otherwise you will not come out on parole or furlough. So he was not only behaving properly, he was cooperating with the...
and you stopped his ghar ka khana.
Yeah. No, that is why I think that was a mistake on the part of the magistrate. Ghar ka khana is allowed as long as your case is under trial.
Right. Not for convicts.
Yes. And when he reached Yeroda, he had been convicted.
Right.
So that order we got modified. We challenged it and the magistrate withdrew that order. And that time also he had said, okay, it's fine with me. Even during the time when that order was challenged and pending before the magistrate, he had started accepting the routine ka jail ka khana. So when he would also help the administration by having, they had a FM radio channel within the prison. They would say ki aaj aap le lo koi session. Then we thought if he's taking session also and the inmates are also interested in him, can we have a welfare show where we can contribute for the welfare activities of the inmates and for the staff. It was designed on the pattern of Mumbai police welfare show called Umang.
Yes.
So we worked hard, we designed that, and he readily agreed. And mind you, people should take interest in prison. There are such artists, talented people.
Yeah.
I saw 2-3 rehearsals. They were superb. But then my old informants from Crime Branch Mumbai started telling me, "Aap to bahut galat kar rahe ho." First, I did not believe. Now, see,
And what was Raju Hirani's? He was helping them do the...
No, he came only once.
To help with the rehearsal.
Yeah. Because the rehearsal, they said the staff felt that it has to be a very high order. But I felt Hirani should not have been allowed inside.
Right.
While I was trying to see that my staff doesn't go overboard, here the information from informants in Mumbai and from within the prison started coming that your immediate sale of all the tickets and the so-called breakfast which will be served in Bal Gandharva, this Bal Gandharva hall which we have in Pune, that's the main hall, public hall. Some gangsters are involved. So Doordarshan team had also come. We had given them exclusive rights for this particular show. And some officers were to drive down from Mumbai. But then the information was so strong. And I got it verified from 3-4 different sources. Crime Branch Mumbai, Mumbai Police, inmates within prison and Pune Police. And last minute, a day before I said the show is cancelled, everyone felt disheartened. So did I. But I think it was too risky. And later on, we came to know that they were going to put some drugs in the breakfast and all. I think it ultimately was for the security of the prison and not to, and also to keep the judicial process on proper track, because prisoners are in the judicial custody.
Yeah.
Bringing them out and then letting them interact with gangsters or gangsters getting involved in the refreshments would have been very dangerous.
How were your interactions with Sanjay Dutt otherwise, inside the jail?
See, initially I feel that for a few days, he was really taken aback because no favors were being granted to him. He was being treated like any other prisoner. But during those monthly meetings with his family, with his lawyers, either their suggestion or on his own, he started finding out my background, that I am from Punjab, that I studied in Fazilka, that my family is so and so. So once he very obviously, openly in front of other officers, when I had basically gone for a surprise check, this also I have detailed in the book, started talking about my background, I had to put my foot down, and he took the hint that, okay, by showing familiarity, he is not going to get any favors.
Yeah. Now, in the end, let's talk a little bit about being a woman in the police force. You have had several historic milestones in your achievements, but how difficult has it been to assert authority, to get men to listen to you? Has there been a discrimination that you have ever felt?
No, I didn't feel discrimination, but I felt extreme discomfort because I was the only lady in a batch of about 70 men in 1981 batch of Indian Police Service. And mind you, I also had cleared the civil services in 1980, and I had undergone a year's training in Indian audits and accounts. So my own batchmates used to feel that you have made a mistake. Desk job is more suitable for women, and here you have left a very good desk job for a career in police. So that 1 year was tough. Having joined Maharashtra, I had my own apprehensions about handling of public order, public disorder. So in first 3-4 chapters, I have talked of my journey in the book about feeling that I'm not tall enough, I don't have the presence of a police officer, And when violence is going on, in one case, 70 rounds are fired, 4 people are killed, and I am here. Are people taking my presence into account? Am I a effective DCP on roads?
So you would doubt yourself.
Yeah. So that journey of doubt. But I would say, at least in the state of Maharashtra, if you're honest, you are hardworking. After looking at you initially for 1 or 2 years, people trust you more, which means citizens, and your own juniors. And I must say with considerable pride that citizens are asking for women police officers because they feel women officers are just.
Sonakshi Sinha played you. Did you feel that was accurate?
No, she didn't play me.
Inspired by you.
Yeah, but yeah, her acting and that particular series is very down to earth and what actually happens in police stations.
Finally, to young girls, even, we just had Parul Chaudhary, an athlete whose dream is to join the police force. To young girls who are dreaming of becoming police officers, what would you say?
I would say, if you are mentally prepared for odd time jobs and you have family support, nothing like police, nothing like uniform. Barkha, if you have noted, I have ended my book by talking about the power of uniform.
Yeah.
So, but you have to accept that policing is not a bed of roses. You will be called on to, mind you, my first visit for a murder was a dead body in a sack on Nashik-Mumbai highway.
Yeah.
So these kinds of challenges, physical challenges, odd times, if you are ready to face them, let's be realistic. If you are ready to face them, nothing like police as a career.
Well, Madam Commissioner, has been a fascinating read. You have led a fascinating life. Thank you very much, ma'am, for talking to us.
Thank you, Barkha.
Thank you.